Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And I think it's safe to call the time of death on Madam Web.
Mm-hmm. I think it was like dead before it even released.
Dead on arrival. We're going to talk about Madam Web. Its box office this weekend, it only did $3 million. We're talking 3 weeks in. Now, it did go up against Dune Part 2.
Just now, not when it came out.
No, and that's what they're going to use. Oh, well, what were we supposed to do? It's Dune. I'm like, yeah, well, it doesn't really matter. This thing was dead on arrival. We're going to talk about just how badly this movie has failed, and then we're going to talk about Paul Dano is out there, the guy who played the Riddler adjacent character, the incel who identifies as the Riddler. Yeah, he's out there saying that we need more quality superhero movies. This is part of the reason that there's superhero fatigue, and maybe the studios will sit in a corner and think about what they've done, given this crap like Madam Web.
They're already thinking about what they've done because they're losing too much money.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, yeah, woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
So I don't think anybody was surprised that Madam Web lost to Dune. It got destroyed in China too, completely. We'll talk about that.
It's got destroyed just in general. It's
everywhere.
It's really bad.
Everywhere. So this weekend, yeah, it's lurching over 80 million worldwide.
And how many weeks has it been out? 3. That's not good.
That's not good. Domestic. Madam Web is at about $40 million. And this movie was 150, 200 million to make.
Yeah, that...
I mean, come on, people.
It wasn't that much. It was like 100.
They always say that. I know when a movie doesn't do very well, they try to adjust down. Like, oh yeah, we only spent like 100 million. So whatever. When the accountant asks questions.
Okay, but you spent 100 million and then they promoted the heck out of it.
Figure 200.
Else. 200, 250, it needs to at least break even. And it's at 40.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not good. That's not good. And then we have Kojima, who video game designer Kojima, the guy who did Death Stranding and Metal Gear, and just like, yep, I saw it in theaters. That's it. That's all he said. But yeah, they said a couple days ago it was unlikely to pass 40 million domestic. I think it actually has, but it took them 17 days to get there.
Well, okay, so it did 80 million globally, and it's still not even what the cost of the movie was.
No, and this is like, how many box office disasters do we have to have, and it's already like the worst performing Marvel anything ever. Like, how many more failures do you have to have? The blame is more on Sony's shoulders for this one than Disney's, but Disney had to, I'm assuming, sign off on it. And yeah, this is devaluing your brand because people aren't making the distinction between the MCU and the Sony Spider-Man adjacent universe. They're just looking at like, oh, it's a Marvel movie and it failed.
It looks like crap.
Yeah, it looks like crap, So it's hard to believe that this is the same studio that gave us the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. It's like, this is where we're at. This is the same studio that did Spider-Verse.
Morbius, though. So I mean, are we surprised?
Craven's gonna be dog shit too.
Oh, I have 100%. I have no doubt of that. 100%.
And I don't know if Venom 3 is gonna be any. I mean, Venom 2 made money, but it wasn't as good as the first one. It was okay. It was a very like 90s style superhero movie, right? Like,
90s are back in some ways. In other ways, just no.
Yeah. So yeah, not looking too good, guys. But this is coming from the Hollywood Reporter. This is a Chinese box office. Madam Web loses weekend to Dune Part 1 re-release. What? They re-released Dune Part 1 in China and it beat it?
Wait. The re-release of Dune 1.
Dune Part 1, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, the movie starring Dakota Johnson opened with only $638,000 in China. In China, with a lot more people. Getting beaten by a promotional re-release of Dune Part 1, which brought in $674,000 from Friday to Sunday.
Because it's going to open next weekend. Dune Part 2 is going to open next weekend.
Right. Oh my God. So in the Chinese market, Dune Part 1 did $39.5 million. That was during the pandemic too. So, you have to consider that. And Dune Part 2 is destroying the box office right now. Like, nothing can compare to that. But
I was laughing about that because Dune 2 was supposed to go up against the Marvels originally.
Yeah.
And then they moved to this year. And because they shifted to this year, the Marvels got IMAX and all this other stuff. And the Marvels still filled that hard and they had no competition. Could you imagine how bad it would have been if Dune 2 would open when the Marvels did?
Oh my God.
I mean, we're talking, I guarantee, worse than Madam Web.
Oh yeah.
Because everybody would have gone to Dune 2.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I mean, that was because that's your audience. I mean, they don't like to admit it. The studios don't like to admit it, but science fiction, it's predominantly a male-leaning audience, and that's.
But I know a lot of women who went to see the Dune movies.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, it is predominant. No, why would they? It's predominantly male, 100%. But there's a lot of women involved and interested, and they keep thinking that they want Madam Web, but what they want is like, Dune 2 or, Captain America or something like that.
Right, right.
They want Spider-Man. They don't want Madam Web, and they don't understand this.
God, so $638,000. That's insane. That is just ridiculous. Lurching over 80 million, guys. So let's go over to this article here. Paul Dano calls for quality over quantity in superhero films.
Aren't we all?
I mean, come on. This is
Good to see Paul Dano says what everybody else has been saying and thinking.
Yeah, he said he believes the superhero genre needs redefining to avoid saturation point. This is coming from a guy who's in a superhero movie, but I don't think he's going to be in the next Batman. He hopes for fresh perspectives or new territories beyond Cape Crusaders. He praises the Batman for its script and cinematic quality, contrasting it with predictable comic book movies. The Batman was okay. I personally think it was incredibly overrated, but you weren't allowed to say that. You weren't allowed to say it was overrated.
The thing is, you have to watch what he's saying, because what he's saying is we need to do new things, and that's what they're trying to argue Madam Web was. So I don't think you need to do new things. I think you need to give people characters they know, characters as themselves. And you need to do a good movie with good effects, and maybe put a lot of effort into one or two instead of 20. But the whole idea of doing something a little different because everybody's tired of superheroes and capes, I don't think that that's what it is. I think they're tired of piss poor, subpar, superhero movies or characters that you love being suddenly race swapped, gender swapped, whatever. They're suddenly a villain for whatever reason or whatever they're doing for some other narrative. And I think that's what it is. So I don't think outside the box, to a point, yes. But I think a lot of the problems we're seeing is because they kept trying to move outside the box. And now people are like, can you just put it back in the box, please? That's what I'm worried about what he's saying.
It kind of, yeah. He said it's an interesting moment where everybody has to go okay, now what? Hopefully from that, somebody either breathes new life into comic book movies or something else blossoms, which is not superheroes. I'm sure there will still be some good ones yet to come, but I think it's kind of a welcome moment. He said it's a larger thing. As soon as the word content came into what we do, meaning making movies or TV, it meant quantity over quality, which I think was a big misstep, and I certainly don't need that as a viewer or as an artist.
I agree. Well, quality over quantity, 100%.
Yeah, and that's what it was. And that was, Bob Chapek with Marvel. He was like, oh, we're going to pump out all kinds of Marvel shows. We're going to, but CW did the same thing before Marvel. It just, you dilute it, and it's too much subpar content. Even if there are good superhero movies out there, they're too few and far between that people aren't even going to take a chance.
I think what happened with Disney was they started doing Disney Plus and they decided we need content. We have all these things, and they just oversaturated everything.
Yeah.
And they used to, you get one movie a year, one or two movies a year, and it was every quarter there's a new superhero, and it's oh, for fuck's sake, just give it a rest. Yeah,
pretty much. I think the make or break moment for superhero movies is actually going to be the James Gunn Superman. If that does well, which it might. I mean, the casting looks pretty okay, but I don't know. It seems like they have way too many characters in it because they're announcing the cast. I'm like,
too many characters.
Why is Guy Gardner in the Superman origin movie? You know what I'm saying? I like it.
I'm worried about Deadpool 3 though, because I think they're going to overdo the cameos and the extra characters too. I'm waiting for that.
I think it's going to be like Doctor Strange. I think it's going to be oh, here's a bunch of cameos, and that's basically why this movie exists, to have a bunch of cameos because you like this character, right? Oh my God, here's this character from this version of the timeline. Here's this character from that version. Oh my God, isn't this cool? Isn't this the best thing ever? You can geek over this. You can look at the trailer, dissect it. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't stand as a coherent movie. The Doctor Strange 2 didn't stand as a coherent movie. It felt like a sequel to WandaVision, which didn't make a lot of sense given how WandaVision ended, and also a bunch of cameos.
I think you could argue the same with No Way Home, but the difference was it was No Way Home. It worked.
It worked because it
was limited. This seems like we're gonna bring this person, this person, this person, this person. It's like, okay, now you're just getting. It's gonna be, and how are you gonna tell a story in the time frame of a movie with this many people?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing that would be kind of fun to watch is Deadpool just go through and just like kill off all the Marvel characters and be like, okay, we're hitting the reset button. But they're not going to do that. And they're too stupid to, like, they could hit the reset button after Secret Wars, use that as an opportunity to do like, okay, we're going to rest Marvel for 10 or 15 years. We're going to reboot it. We're going to try to, stay closer to the core aspects of the characters. But they're not going to, because they're like, we pay billions of dollars for this and we have to make money. Mm-hmm. And that's basically the driving force. It's not. So again, we did that video yesterday talking about the new Disney live action guy. And he's like, does this movie need to exist? And the answer is going to be yes, because our shareholders demand new Marvel and Star Wars movies every year to make money. And we don't have anything else. We don't have anything else. We have Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, live action remakes, and that is it. That's all Disney makes now. And you take those off the table, none of those need to exist. They ain't got nothing.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's it. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye.